Hello, I am Tato Cat and welcome to my channel. Today we are playing Cabin Fever. It's a visual novel that was created by Sad Panda. There's voices. The protagonist has a voice, which is cool. It's either
Hey, how's it going?
or
Hey, how's it going?
I'll just leave it as this one because that was the default. Alright, I don't know too much about this game. From what I read, it seemed like it could be kind of cool to play. Anyways, let's get started. Oh, what is this? I can customize my character's name. Oh, I hate when I have to name my own character. I think some people like naming their own character, but it means I have to think more, and thinking's no fun. Alright. Okay, what should I name my person? I don't know what I look like. Are we a marshmallow? Like we are in Crush Crush? Let's just bring Satsuma back. So, Satsuma again is making an appearance. This game contains sensitive content and is intended for a mature audience. For more information about our content, warning, visit here. Please confirm that you're over the age of 13 and wish to continue. I agree. I am over the age of 13 by several years. Oh! Chapter 1 Prologue.
I don't remember much about the world before the sickness.
Oh no. This isn't starting off great. Is this made with Renpai? No. Toggle UI. There's a toggle UI button. This is pretty cool. I know it's a sickness, but it's floaty stuff. It's animated.
I was just a kid when it started. Too young to fully grasp all the changes happening across the globe. Looking back, it was as though some cosmic clearance bin of trashy dystopian paperbacks was spilling plot points out onto reality. You had your unknown virus, your slow-to-act world leaders, your extremists, deniers on one end, doomsday preppers on the other, and overall just a heck of a lot of scandal and angst.
Yeah, that tends to happen.
What it boiled down to was this: stay away from each other. Yep, that simple. Stay away. Because the sickness mutated so rapidly, spread so easily, and killed so many, that preventing transmission was the only way to stop it from wiping out the human race.
Well, that sucks.
A cure could be developed, they told us. Would be developed, they promised. Somehow. Someday.
I'm guessing that didn't turn out so well.
Life changed. Everything from school and work to medical appointments and family dinners became virtual. And as it turns out, hosting an online society requires a lot of computer programming.
This feels like this was inspired by something.
Like, a lot. Lucky for me, I'd always had a knack for stuff like that. It was easy to get trained and even easier to find work. When's the last time you heard a young person say that, huh? I did programming for medical services, government websites, automated manufacturing. There was no shortage of freelance contracts. Of course, places like movie theaters, shopping malls, and restaurants died out. Even farms and factories became rare. So much of the workforce lost. But to be honest, I personally thought all of it was a net gain for the planet. Fewer people meant less pollution. War and terrorism dropped to an all-time low. Most people learned to be at least somewhat self-sufficient. And as for me, well, since my parents both died not long after my high school graduation, I was probably more self-sufficient than most.
Well, this is an eerie looking background. Okay, you know me and background. It is. I see that. This is a new game that came out not too long ago, so it is inspired by recent events, it seems. And lots of detail. Like individual leaves, which is kind of rare to see in backgrounds because let's be honest, drawing individual leaves on trees is a pain. You can read everything. It's a sad little dystopian.
I was alone for a long time. Long enough to be used to it. At least I was healthy. I had my routine, with lots of work to keep me busy and the internet at my fingertips to keep me from getting bored.
Yay, internet.
What more could I have wanted?
Chapter 2. Seed. Oh, it's raining. That's cool. Toggle UI. Ah, this has some really nice artwork or backgrounds, and I like that the rain is rain. I lived in an off-grid cabin that had been in my family for years. When I was young, we used to visit every summer just to get away from it all. I probably call it ironic, but every time I say that word, someone tells me I'm using it wrong. Yeah, that happens a lot. Anyway, when the sickness started spreading, that cabin became a place to survive. It had everything a small family could need. Though, like I said, by this time, I was the sole member of my bubble. I was used to taking care of myself. On a good day, with the sun shining onto the solar panels, I could get 30 kilowatts. Pretty sure I'm saying that wrong. More than enough to power the appliances in the house and keep the battery bank full. And since the cabin sat near the mountains, I'd often get a decent power level at night with the wind turbine catching the air coming off the ridge. But that night it was raining hard. Like most evenings, I spent this one on my computer playing my favorite idle clicker game and browsing the web for news. The news was mostly doom and gloom, of course, but I liked finding the odd tech or space-related articles sprinkled in. Ooh. Look at this. Like, there's even a sheen on the art. Like, there's a reflection from the light, like here and here. Oh wow, this is fantastic. I was thinking about how badly I wanted aliens to be real when an email alert danced in the corner of my screen. I opened it. Yet another forward from one of my more gullible work colleagues about a possible cure for the death-dealing virus. This particular claim apparently stemmed from a breakthrough in the study of bovine bodily function.
What a load of bullshit.
I get it. Haha. Ha.
Literally. Good one.
Oh, Satsuma, you are so clever. I was pretty much the only company I had anymore, so yeah, I talked to myself. It's okay, dude, I did the same thing. I deleted the email, letting out a heavy sigh. There was a point in time when I found that sort of thing amusing, the ridiculous conspiracy theories and clickbait titles. But now I just found them sad. I glanced at the clock. Time for tea. I put the computer into sleep mode and headed into the kitchen. On my way there, I accidentally kicked a broomstick laying across the floor.
Ow! Ow, ow, ow!
You barely kicked it. Couldn't have hurt that much.
Why is that even there? I never sweep.
I don't know. house gnomes? In that moment, I judged myself hard. Oh well, the world had basically ended, so what's the point in cleaning up? It wasn't like I was expecting company. I kicked the broom aside and carried on. Ooh. More details. I mean, it's not that bad. His kitchen is fairly clean. It certainly looks cleaner close up than it did from far away. What is this thing? Carrot, onion. I have no idea what this one says. Looks like some recipes. In the kitchen, I steeped a nice big cup of herbal tea. Then I tossed my used tea bags into the compost bin, noting as I did that the bin was nearly full. I have to take it out soon, empty into the tumbler with the rest of my food scraps and plant waste. Then probably in the spring, I'd add fresh compost to the garden, give my plants a healthy nutrient boost. I loved my plants. I wanted them to be strong in case they ever needed to defend the cabin from zombies or traveling salespeople. Smirking to myself, I stood in the kitchen and sipped my tea. The only sound was the muffled rush of rain outside, so peaceful. Well, that's certainly not rain. What was that? A fox prowling outside? A raccoon? That did not sound like a fox. There wasn't a person in my garden, was there? I went to the window, peering out into the darkness and listening hard.
I don't have to go out there and check, do I?
I'm ashamed that's what my thought would be.
I mean, someone could be in trouble. But then again, someone could be trouble.
This is a fair thought.
Maybe just stand on the porch and yell for whoever it is to get off the lawn?
That's usually pretty effective. I weighed my options. Oh, I get to choose. Go outside and investigate the noise. Stay inside and lock all the doors. I feel like if we stay inside and lock all the doors, the game will end right here. So, we'll go outside and investigate the noise. The scream really had sounded human. I couldn't just ignore that. As much as I wanted to stay inside, warm and dry.
I was raised by humanitarian hippies, and all I got was this pesky conscience.
Ah, man, don't you hate when that happens?
Kidding. Love you, Mom and Dad. Please don't haunt me.
Oh, I feel like I resemble this character too much. I set down my tea and went to find my crank-powered flashlight and shoved my feet into a pair of boots. Well, my family weren't hippies. Hopefully and probably I wouldn't find anything out there, but checking was the right thing to do. Well, look at this scene. This is another good one. The rain doesn't look as well here as it did in the other backgrounds, but whatevs. I pulled open the door and stepped out into the porch. The flashlight flickered pathetically. Luckily, all you need to power up a hand crank flashlight is hands, which I had. I scanned the dark garden. Raindrops slid up as the light passed over them, and trees and shrubs around the cabin swayed. All I could hear was wind and rain. A chill ran down my back.
Yo, anybody out here? No? Cool. Have a good night then.
I turned to head back inside. A small voice stopped me in my tracks.
Hello? I'm here. Would you mind, helping me out of this, please?
Out of what? The rain seemed to beat down harder as my pulse sped up. I turned my flashlight towards the voice, my hand visibly trembling.
It sure is cold out. I'm definitely not shaking out of fear, because that would be super lame.
Yes, and you saying that doesn't sound suspicious at all. I forced myself to step down off the porch and follow the path until finally it was close enough to make out the shape of a person. As the weak flashlight beam illuminated more, I gasped. Of course, she's in this sort of position. Whoever I'd been expecting to find, it certainly wasn't this delicate wisp of a girl. She was so pale she almost looked like a ghost. Even her hair, long and clinging to her face in the rain, shone bright, almost white in the glow of the flashlight. She crouched on her hands and knees in the mud, as though she had fallen. 100 questions raced through my head. Where did she come from? How long has she been out in the storm? Why wasn't she dressed for the rain? Was she lost? Was she sick? Is she a zombie? Is she a vampire? Will she murder us? I tried to sound tough, like my dad would have.
You there! What are you doing on my property?
The young woman squinted against the flashlight.
Please, I got lost and I promise I wasn't trying to steal anything.
Her voice quivered, which I thought was kind of dumb. After all, she was the interloper. It was me who should be freaking out, which I was. To be fair, she's on your turf. She doesn't know if you have a gun or if you're carrying a sword or have magical mutant powers, alien plants, you know?
Well, then explain yourself! Why are you just laying on the ground there? Seems pretty sus.
It is kind of sus, but whatever. Why the heck did I ask that last part? What was I trying to do? Lighten the mood? The girl turned her head away. Was she trying to make me feel bad? Was she, God forbid, stifling a cough? I took a step back, unwilling to take any chances.
I can't get up.
Why? Her matter-of-fact tone surprised me. I guess I was expecting some elaborate sob story and or pleas for food or money or medicine. It could still be a trick, I thought. She could be getting ready to rob me. At this point, my flashlight was starting to lose its brightness. I stood there cranking the handle to power the light back up. It was a long, awkward intermission, backed by the droning sound of the flashlight being worked. But the light was coming back on. I would crank a few more times to shine it brighter on her. We just casually have a bear trap in our yard? The whole horrifying picture became clear. Also, she seems pretty calm for someone who has a bear trap. Here. You would think she'd be screaming more or crying more. Somehow the girl had gotten her leg caught in one of my animal traps. She must not have seen the rusted old thing in the dark, and it grabbed her calf and tore it open. Okay, so this probably wasn't a trick.
Oh my god! Are you okay?
I started to move towards her, but then my own legs froze in fear. Fear of getting close to another human. If she was sick, then I could get sick. But then had no way of knowing whether or not she carried the virus. And right now, she was hurt and trapped because of me. I felt horrible. If I left her to fend for herself, anything could happen. A hungry bear might come along, the weather could turn freezing, and even if she did manage to get herself out of the trap, she would probably develop an infection fast in such a nasty wound. Where do we live that we're just like a bear could come along? Swallowing hard, I clenched my fist and forced myself to approach her. I had to get way too close for comfort, but I crouched, opened the trap, and freed her leg. It was bleeding pretty heavily, though now that I could see it up close, it didn't look as deep as I feared.
No, thank you. I'm so glad you found me. I was afraid I'd be trapped in that thing all night.
I stood up quickly and took a few steps back. For some reason, the girl was smiling at me. Didn't she understand that it was my stupid fault she'd gotten hurt? It's not really your fault. It's your property. If you want to have animal traps lying around, it's not like you're going to think that in this time that people are going to be walking around your yard for a good reason. Then again, maybe she shouldn't have been sneaking around in the dark. Exactly. My brain bickered with itself over who was to blame before realizing the girl wasn't able to get to her feet. I reluctantly offered a hand, wishing I'd thought to put on some nitrile gloves. But why would I have thought of that? I hadn't seen another human in... How long had it been? Accepting my help, the girl climbed to her feet. She wobbled, leaned in, and grabbed my waist to use me as a crutch.
Sorry. Is it okay that I'm touching you like this?
Could have asked before you did it. Her words sent a chill down my spine. Touching. Just the thought of it made me break out in a cold sweat.
It's fine. Let's just get out of this rain.
What was I doing? When had I decided to let her into my house? The warm light glowing inside the cabin was like a beacon drawing us in. Well, said my brain to myself, I guess this is the thing we're doing now. I no longer needed my flashlight, so I tucked it away and used that hand instead to help to support the injured girl up the pathway. With my arm around her waist and her arm around my shoulder, it became very clear to me how small she really was. Small and delicate, like a folded paper crane. A soggy, limp paper crane in a drenched dress that clung to her shivering body. Just then my pant leg caught on something. A nail jutting out from the side of the porch. I felt the fabric tug and rip as we moved past. Great. What an evening this was turning out to be. Once we made it inside, I helped the stranger sit down on a wooden chair. I made a mental note to disinfect that chair later. And my clothes. Maybe even the flashlight. But first aid.
Where did I put that kit?
I was never good at staying organized. Really. Didn't notice. Even on my computer, all my folders and internet tabs were a mess. No point in fighting entropy. That was my philosophy. I searched the drawers, the counter, the floor, and nearly tripped over that dumb broom again before finally finding the first aid kit. It was not well stocked, but it would do for now. I gathered up some towels and my forehead thermometer too. When I washed my hands, I pulled on some gloves and a face mask from an old box in the back of the cupboard and brought everything over to the waiting girl.
Before anything else, let me scan your temperature.
I held the scanner up to her forehead. 2 seconds passed before we heard the good beep, which meant her temperature was normal.
No fever. That's a relief. Do you have any other symptoms?
Her eyes widened. She shook her head. Well, it was still better to be cautious. I barely breathed as I took her leg into my lap and started tending her wound. Again, Satsuma's in a precarious position with a girl in a chair. Oh, it does not look pleasant. She didn't wince or complain at all. She was tougher than she looked. I was the opposite. I knew I looked mean, even when I wasn't trying. But on the inside, I was basically a fluffy yellow duckling with anxiety. If our situation were reversed, and it was my leg all cut up like that, I'd probably have been a weepy wreck spouting rare and extravagant curse words. But she just sat there, quietly watching.
Are you a doctor?
Was she joking?
Do you honestly think I look like a doctor?
Listen, you can't judge a book by its cover, man. Shit. Way to draw attention to your looks, idiot. I thought to myself. Not that I cared, really. It was just that I hadn't combed my hair in a few days or weeks. And I'd been living in the same set of clothes for a while now. A ratty old t-shirt with a rocket ship on the front and a pair of jeans that had long ago gone out of fashion. And now there's a rip in them, apparently. hot, right? In her life, I might have felt self-conscious. Not about my teeth, though. Never about my teeth. Dentists were kind of a thing of the past, and since I wanted to keep my teeth for chewing purposes and whatnot, I was committed to practicing good oral hygiene.
Well, I'm not sure what a doctor looks like, but you seem to know what you're doing, and you're a very kind person. So I believe you if you told me you were a doctor.
Huh. She's naive. Of course she's naive. I looked away, awkwardly holding a clean bandage against the gash in her leg. The towels I used to clean the wound were now a pile of blood-soaked, mud-stained rags on the dirty floor. Was I a kind person?
It's just basic first aid. Not a big deal. Here, hold this. Put pressure on it while I wrap it up.
I wrapped a length of gauze around her narrow leg to hold the bandage in place.
That should be okay overnight, but we should probably clean it again and rewrap it tomorrow.
Her leg didn't leave my lap. Instead, she wiggled her toes and shot me a smile. Also, her leg isn't in her lap.
You're going to let me stay here?
Huh?
I looked up at her and instantly forgot how to speak, because suddenly I was struck by how pretty she was. I mean, the rain had already done a number on her, but still. She must have been around 20, give or take. Not too much younger than me. She was thin, but everyone was thin these days. With her, it was like she'd been built this way. Small and delicate and weightless. Her dress was simple and a little threadbare. The rain had soaked through, and I realized I could sort of see her undergarments. I quickly averted my eyes, my cheeks warming. I hoped she hadn't noticed me looking, because I really hadn't meant to look.
You said clean it again tomorrow, right?
I did say that. The room seemed to spin a little, and my face went from feeling very hot to feeling very cold. Stay away from each other. That was the rule. What was I supposed to do? Maybe it's okay if she stays. She really shouldn't be here. I feel like if we say this, again the game is going to end because we kick her out, and then this story won't go anywhere. I don't think there's another character in this game. I really think it's the story between this person and our character. Look how pitiful she is, said my brain. My brain was right, and I didn't know what to do except go along with it.
Well, it's not like I'm going to just send you back out into the rain. Not by yourself, anyway. Is there anyone else in your bubble? Anyone I can call to come get you, or...
I like how we're calling people's groups bubbles. She looked down into her lap.
No.
Oh. Her response made me too nervous to ask any further questions. I just wasn't sure I could handle a tragic backstory at this particular moment. Maybe it's not tragic, maybe it was, one day I woke up and was like, man, these people are loud. Let's just murder them all. You know, that could be her backstory. We don't know. In any case, I knew that if my parents were still around, they'd never have sent this girl back out into the night. They'd have let her stay, at least until she got her bearings. I sighed, giving in.
Okay, well, you can sleep on my couch tonight. We'll figure the rest out tomorrow. We should really stay at least 6 feet apart, though.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
She nodded and gently removed her leg from my lap, which was never there in the first place. I moved back, making more space between us, and sat to examine the rip in my pant leg. Meanwhile, my brain tried to fathom what was happening. I brought a stranger into my house. I don't know who she was or where she'd come from. This seemed like a bad idea, and also a tad surreal.
Damn, I like these pants.
Oh no, did you get hurt too?
No, it's just a rip.
Oh, that's not so bad.
You can always sew it back up. It's not that big of a deal. I got up and made even more space between us. She stood up too, testing her weight on her injured leg.
Wow, it already feels so much better. You must have a magical healing touch.
Her mouth moves when she talks. And she blinks. I didn't realize it was going to be this animated. I was starting to think she might be one of those weird optimistic people. Also, it was hard to think straight with her standing up in that very damp, very revealing dress.
You need to take that dress off.
Don't say it like that.
That came out wrong. What I mean is, it's wet and cold, and I'm sure you'd feel better if you changed into something dry and warm.
Nice save.
I'm sure I have some extra clothes you can wear.
Really?
Hot in the face, I ran off to procure a basket of old clothes from my storage closet. I hadn't worn them since my teenage years. They were too small for me now, but might be a good fit for her.
Here, take whatever you want. They're all clean.
I dropped the basket on the table and walked backwards away from it.
That's so nice of you. I'll get changed now.
I watched her take the basket and hobble out of the room to change where I couldn't see. When she came back, I was surprised to see that she had chosen a button-down that was part of my school uniform from back before everything went online. And of course she didn't put pants on. I'd been much younger and much smaller when I wore that shirt, but even still, it swam on her frame. It almost looked like a nightgown, which was probably why she had chosen it.
I haven't felt this comfy since I don't know when. It's a school shirt, right? I always liked the look of school uniforms, but I never got to wear one. All my classes were online.
Well, some schools just don't have uniforms also. And why does the emblem just look like a bunch of waffles? For some reason, that made me a little sad. I myself had so few memories of the world before the sickness. It was hard to imagine not having any at all.
How old are you?
21. My birthday was actually last week.
Woo, you can drink now.
Oh, well, happy belated birthday. Do you have a name?
Oh, of course I do. It's Mallory.
Hi, Mallory. Nice to see you again.
Nice to meet you, Mallory. Well, not nice exactly. Weird to meet you, I guess. I'm not used to people.
Makes you feel better I wasn't used to people before the sickness, so...
Yeah, I get it. I didn't mean to trespass onto your property. I really did get lost. And then the rain started, and I could hear these dogs or something howling. I was scared, and I ran towards the first light I saw.
Aw. I nodded as if to say I understood. It was true that there were things like wolves and coyotes in the area. That was why I'd set up an extra secure fence for my chickens.
But what were you doing out there in the first place?
I would rather not talk about that.
Well, that's unpleasant. I stared at her, totally perplexed. Why the secrecy? Should I press for more? The option tried to insist on some answers. Let it go for now. She had a rough night. Well, we'll choose something next episode. So I'll see you next time. I am Tato Cat. Have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon.